All right, so hello. I am going to make a quick video going through worksheet 1. I had a lot of students out for the first lesson, and Trig is just a little complicated to kind of go into it without some explanation. So one of the things we talked about was just being able to type these Trig functions into our calculator. So what we have here is tangent of an angle. When we do sine, cosine, or tangent, we are doing that trig function to an angle. So we have tangent of 56, cosine of 23, and sine of 77. These answers are going to be long decimal answers because what we're calculating is a ratio. So we're calculating the ratio of the opposite side divided by the adjacent side when an angle is 56 degrees. That's kind of complicated sounding. All you really have to do here is type this into your calculator. We are going to round 2 spots. So we want to make sure our calculators are in degree mode. When we have this calculator going, this is your scientific calculator. The blue box should be over the degree, okay? And we can find sine, cosine, and tangent right here above the parentheses and the comma, all right? So that's what's going on. We're gonna type in tangent of 56. So I'm gonna hit the tan button, 56. That's my answer, 1.48. Cosine of 23 was the second one. That's my second answer. And the third one, sine of 77. Here it is, sine of 77. And there's my third answer. So 1.48, 0.92. 1.48. It did say 2 spots, so we'll go with 2. I already forgot it. 0.92 and then 0.97. 0.92 and 0.97. That's just typing right into the calculator. All right. Then we talked about the actual trig functions, what they mean. So first, when I take sine, cosine, and tangent, it's of an angle. So in this triangle, I am working from angle S, okay? So from this angle, we like to define the sides of the triangle. So from angle S, the opposite side of angle S is going to be this side, okay? So across from is the opposite. The adjacent side to the angle is the leg that touches the angle. So this is my adjacent side. And then remember, the hypotenuse is always that diagonal side across from the 90-degree angle. So that's always going to be my hypotenuse. All right. And so when I find the sine, the cosine, and the tangent of an angle, what I'm looking for is a ratio. And to remember what ratio we use an acronym called SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. That is the ratio of sine. Cosine of an angle is the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. So adjacent over hypotenuse. And then tangent of an angle is the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. So TOA. All right, so for this example, sine of angle S is going to be the opposite side over the hypotenuse. So it's 7 over 25 is my answer. Okay, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, 24 over 25. And tangent is opposite over adjacent. Opposite over adjacent is 7 over 24. That's how we write the fractions. And then finally, we use the two kind of ideas of typing in my calculator and these ratios to solve for sides of triangles. So in this first triangle, it says solve for x. All right, cool. So here's my angle, 70 degrees. Okay, from this angle, the opposite side is x, the adjacent side is y, and the hypotenuse is 20. So first, I have to decide when I'm solving for x, do I use sine, cosine, or tangent? Well, x is the opposite side, so I'm looking for the opposite side, and then I know one of the sides. I have to use the side they gave me, so they gave me this 20, which is the hypotenuse. So the trig function that uses O and H is sine. So I have to use sine. So All right, so when I write this, I'm going to write sine of the angle. The angle is 70 degrees. So I write in the angle number, sine of 70 equals opposite over hypotenuse, x over 20. And then I just have to get x by itself. So to solve for x, since it's x divided by 20, I need to cancel out this 20 by multiplying it to the other side. So here's my answer. X equals, so this 20 cancels, I'm just left with x, so x equals 20 times the sine of 70. 20 sine 70. I'm literally just going to type that in my calculator. 20 sine 70. 20 sine 70. Boom, my answer is 18.79. That's it. That's my answer. That's for x. For y, same idea, different fraction. This time I need to find the adjacent side. I still know the hypotenuse was 20. So adjacent and hypotenuse. I'm looking for adjacent. I still know the hypotenuse. This one is cosine. So I'm going to do cosine of my angle. The angle is still 70 degrees equals adjacent y over 20. So, got to get y by itself. I'm going to multiply the 20 to the other side. And I get y equals 20 times the cosine of 70. 20 cos 70. I'm going to use this calculator just because it's easier to swipe in and out, but I'm getting the same answers. 20 times the cosine of 70 is 6.84. That's my answer. All right, I'm going to do one more problem, and that'll be that. A little bit quicker this time because I know how to do it. This time my angle's up here. The opposite side is y. Adjacent side is 11. And hypotenuse is x. So to solve for x, I know the adjacent side, and I'm looking for the hypotenuse. Adjacent, hypotenuse. That's cosine. So I'm going to do cosine of the angle. This time the angle is 32. Equals adjacent over hypotenuse, 11 over x. Now, we talked about this in class, and there's a trick. So up here, when I was solving, the number was on the bottom of my fraction, but this time the letter is on the bottom of my fraction. So there is a trick, and I will show you in person why it works, but when the letter's on the bottom, the trick is to swap the places of the x and the cosine of 32. So my answer ends up being x equals 11 divided by cosine of 32. And that's just because of the placement of x. Since x was being divided, the shortcut of solving is that we switch their places, and I'm dividing instead of multiplying. Okay, so I'm going to type in my calculator 11 divided by cosine 32. Boom, that's my answer. 12.97. Okay, when I solve for y, similar story. This time though, the y is the opposite side, and then the adjacent side is 11. So opposite and adjacent. I'm looking for the opposite. I know the adjacent. This is going to be a tangent problem. TOA. Okay. So tangent of the angle, 32, equals opposite over adjacent, y over 11. This time the number is on the bottom, so I don't have to do the swap. I can just multiply that 11 to the other side. And I'm going to type in my calculator, 11 times the tangent of 32, 11 tan 32. Boom, 6.87. And that's it. That's the answer. Hopefully this kind of helps you understand how to set these problems up. For like further explanation for what sine, cosine, and tangent is, go see your teacher, but this is just a quick explanation if you missed lesson 1 on how to do these problems. Thanks, guys.